Is there anything in the Bible that you yourself have an issue with? Okay, so it took you reading the Bible to realize that those things were bad for you?
Yeah, it actually did. I
Couldn't
didn't
figure this out on your own?
No, Ted Bundy could be redeemed. God doesn't kill children.
What do you think the Passover was? Yahweh sets up a whole system in the Old Testament where you slaughter animals just so he's able to forgive you.
Today's special guest is Christian artist Curtis Harris. Welcome to the show, Curtis.
How's it going?
Fantastic, man. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for taking the time. So
No,
tell us a
thank you
little
for
bit about
inviting
what you
me.
do.
Pretty much we have a group called Roundtable Rejects that I'm a part of. One of the founders of the group, and pretty much what we want to do is bring light and life back into the music entertainment industry, but more so back into the community, you know, to strive for that better and keep growing, not just as individuals, but as a collective.
Growing, yeah, absolutely. Moving forward, I can get behind that for sure. But what do you mean by light? Help me understand that. Bringing
Uh,
light back in.
well, I like to think of light as love in general,
Okay.
and it comes back to like a Bible sense, like
Hmm.
with God being love, but
Oh.
also it comes down to like
Hmm.
well, he's love, but he's also like the fire in our hearts, you know. He's the
Hmm.
light. But it's crazy because it also kind of reflects on like for people that can't really get behind that, it also hits on a scientific level. Like when you show the energy or the spirit of love, it literally lights up your brain. It literally, on brain scans, it lights up your brain. It's like a light, you know. And I like to also like think about it like in future terms, is like probably in like Revelations. When you think about the 1,000 years of peace, you have the city of these people, these Christians, these walkers in faith, where Jesus is the lamp, he is the light. There will be no sun, there will be no moon. It will just be us as lights, you know, lighting up
Weird.
the world.
Weird. So no nighttime. I
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
nighttime,
right,
Curtis. I happen to
exactly.
enjoy the nighttime.
All light, all light. And that's kind of what RTR wants to see, you know. It's like people nowadays, we're so down on ourselves, you know. We can't really find a way out, we feel left out,
I feel some
because
people are that way, but maybe not all
yeah,
of them for sure. Um,
yeah, 100%. But my thing is, it's Roundtable Rejects, because
hmm.
at least for me growing up, and a lot of the people that we seem to resonate with, it's a feeling of being a misfit,
Hmm.
being left out.
What are you being
And
left
that
out in?
sense is because even when you go to church, well, there's some forms of like darkness in itself in churches in general, even though they
Darkness in
do try
church.
their and even though they do try their best all the time. But there's still hiccups that we face because we are of flesh. So there's always going to be some hiccups unless we can fully submit to the will of God.
Fully
And
submit to the will of God.
100%, you can't
Fully
halfway
submit.
fully submit to the will of God. You know, God's it's I could break it down to like a Bible term. You want to necessarily get out of your way, and my pastor says this funny thing. Well, my old pastor, he used to say, "It's not your way, it's Yahweh." You know,
Hmm.
you want to get out of your the man's logic of thinking and get into God's
Hmm.
logic of thinking. You know, the logic of spirit and truth.
Help me understand that a little bit here, because I think we're definitely on different paths here, but we're definitely thinking different things. You've mentioned that God is love. That's a common thing I hear all the time. And then it's his way has to be done, his will be done. Um,
Correct.
so as far as his ideas of things that need to be done, how do we see this as loving? I'm going to go right to the Exodus here, the Exodus story.
Beautiful. I love that question. That's an amazing question. Because when we think about love, we think about it as puppy love, you know, and when you evolve past that, you have your love for your family. Then you also have your love for like a child, someone that you're taking care of. You know, you have that kind of bond love to where I do anything for them, you know, and it's about loving your enemies like that. You know, someone that has talked down on you, that has destroyed your reputation and name. Are you willing to die and give all that you have for that person? You know, everything that you have, the good, bad, everything that you have, all the light that you have. Are you willing to lay that down for a person that despises you, a person that goes to war against you, a person that tears you down? You know, are you willing to give everything that you have for them?
I think you're confused. I'm talking about the Exodus story specifically, the last plague there where he kills the kids in their sleep. Do you find his ways loving when he does that?
The Exodus?
Yes, the Exodus, the last plague.
100%. So yeah. all the plagues, and we can even relate that back to now times where people are dying in the streets, you know.
God is killing people in the streets?
God allows it, you know.
No.
Because
I'm specifically talking about the time that God actually went into the bedrooms of the sleeping children and killed them because their parents didn't put blood on the door. That's what I'm talking about. How is that love? Showing love. Right.
Yes, sir.
How is that showing love?
It's showing love in the sense of
wow.
Yes, sir. It's showing love in the sense of so that we will know that he is God. You get what I'm saying?
No, that's monstrous. God can't show us that he's God without killing children in their sleep. Is that what you're telling me?
Through all the darkness, through all the trials,
that's darkness.
That there will be light within that is showing that he is God.
Help me understand that there's light within that.
Even nowadays, that's why we had to get out of man's way of thinking and get behind a spirit and truth way of thinking.
Right. Kill kids in their sleep because their parents didn't put blood on the door. That's God's way of thinking, his way. That's Yahweh. And I don't think that's a good idea.
You could take it as killing, but I don't necessarily believe in anything necessarily dying. So
okay, so those children who did not worship God.
Even if I was slain as a child, I wouldn't necessarily take that as dying, because once you come to know that nothing necessarily dies, but everything is always in a process of becoming new.
Let's go with that. So these children that died, they didn't actually die. They went to somewhere else. Where do children who worship other gods go?
Well, they're kind of engulfed in their own darkness, awaiting to become light. Any type of form of chaos, any type of form of darkness is never really just staying in darkness. It's more so becoming light, you know? And that's kind of the evolution of RTR. It's even though you think you're in these negative situations, it's really you're in a growth state. You're in a growth state, you know?
So those kids were just going to be
eventually growing for the greater good, you know?
So those kids are going to grow for the greater good. So God had to kill them in their sleep now.
I'm trying to understand it. I could try to break it down to you more so on all right. So you could take.
This is sounding really bad, Curtis. I'm just gonna let you know it's sounding really bad. God has to kill the kids to shine light. I'm not understanding. That's grotesque to me. The fact that he has to kill the kids in the first place is the problem.
But the only reason why he has to kill the kids is from things that we have done.
No, I didn't do anything to kill children.
So the darkness that we do, on an everyday basis, the darkness that they were doing, sacrificing kids to Moloch.
So it's okay for God to kill all the kids because some of them were dying.
And even things before that, from the very beginning, from the fall of man. The things that the darkness that we have been doing now has to be atoned for.
All the kids must die.
Every bit of darkness has to be atoned for.
Right, all
and
those kids must die now because there's darkness in the world.
that's why kids die today, is
Right.
because
So
there's
your God
darkness in
kills
the
kids
world.
because there's darkness in the world. This is ludicrous to me. So can your God get rid of darkness without killing children?
That's like putting a gun to a kid's head and being
No.
like, yeah, yes sir, can
No,
I
your
can I
God's all
can I
powerful,
kill this
right?
kid? Can I kill this kid and still show light? You know, it becomes getting out of that.
Dude, stop defending that. That's weird. That's weird. It's getting weird. It's getting Don't defend the death of the children.
Oh,
That's not good. That's not
no,
showing light.
I'm not defending the death of the children. I'm saying that that's on us. You know,
It's not. It's on the guy who
that
did
is
it.
that is on our decisions. The reason why that
Interesting.
has happened.
So
My-
what decision did I make to cause the children to be killed in their sleep?
the fall of man. You could take that back to the beginning where
I wasn't there.
Adam ate. Well, you weren't there when when Passover was.
Right,
but
so how is it my fault?
It still led to where we are now.
But how is it my fault if I wasn't there? Help me understand that.
If you, well, it's the same thing as generational curses, hereditary diseases. You know, you weren't the one that had got a bloodline of cancer and passed it down to your kid. You weren't there
How
when
do you know?
when that generational curse or sickness was first developed. You weren't there,
Oh,
but it
that.
still got passed down to you.
So I've got a generational curse that God has given me.
That we have taken upon ourselves.
I didn't take anything upon myself.
It was our decision. It was an act out of the will.
Again,
of
it wasn't my
mankind.
decision.
And
Curtis,
we are
I wasn't there.
we are directly related to the very first person.
That can't be my decision at that point, though. Curtis, that can't be my decision.
If you could understand us being related to the very first person that was ever created, so that lineage gets passed down. So that
right. Who
darkness
cursed
gets
him?
passed down.
Who cursed the man?
You know?
Who cursed human beings?
You could say Adam if you want to speak in biblical terms.
Adam
you could
cursed
say
him.
Adam. But if you want to speak in like wholesomeness, darkness itself, to have a being of light such as God, there also it can also create darkness.
So God, I will make your pains in childbearing very severe. With painful labor, you will give birth to children. You will desire to be with your husband. So God says, I will make your pains in childbirth painful.
Right. So
So
you got to look at the
God's
cause
doing
of
it.
that. That's where I'm trying to get at. You have to look at the cause of that.
Let's go to the cause.
If you want to understand.
I understand
Yeah,
the cause.
for
sure.
Yes, sir. I believe that was because Eve was the one who ate the apple, so she's the one who had that happen to her.
Let's try it. Let's
That's
back
what
up
I
that train a little
believe.
bit.
If I'm not 100% sure, but that's kind of what I recall.
Right. Let's back up that blame train a little bit. So we can blame Eve, if you like, that she ate the fruit. Yes, she ate the fruit. But why did she eat the fruit? Now we're really getting somewhere.
Yep, that's
why
the
did she
darkness
choose to
aspect.
eat that fruit? What happened? Did God create trees that he knew would cause the fall of man? Did God create trees that he knew would cause the fall of man?
Correct.
Yes. So God knew the trees would cause the fall of man.
Correct.
So why did he make it in the form of fruit and put it in the middle of a daycare if he didn't want his children to disobey him?
You could think of a level of a test.
Test, he already knew the answer. That's not a test. If I know the answers, it's not a test at this point. I'm all knowing. Why would I need to test anything?
For them, because God, like I said, is ever growing. So
God is growing now.
Oh no, he's been growing since the beginning.
How big is he now?
Was and always will be.
Did
He's
he start
always
off
growing
super tiny?
for a greater good?
I don't understand. How is God growing if he's a perfect being?
Like take a fire, for example. A
Fire's not perfect.
But in the Bible, it says God is a consuming fire.
In the Bible, it says God is perfect.
He is. He
Right.
is whole.
So
but
how is he
is
still
also
growing if he's perfect?
He is also growing. The light inside of us is growing, and then we could keep it on a biblical term when we think about Christ. Christ said that we would do, us people, me and you today would do greater works than he has. How
Okay.
Yeah, so how can someone that is perfect and whole say that we are going to do even greater than him? Because he
know.
is constantly growing. He is
Show me the
constantly
great.
evolving.
Can you show me
He
the
is
great stuff
ever
that
so
he's done?
growing. Pardon?
Besides cursing people willy-nilly here, what great stuff has he done?
Christ?
Sure.
Okay. So the fact that you could say the fact that you have breath, you know, the fact that the fact that you
So
could
because
plant
your
a
God's
seed in the
keeping me
ground,
alive,
the fact that you could plant a seed in the ground and it can grow into something that can nourish you. The fact that something so small,
Wow.
a concept so small, an idea so small can grow into something so great that could nourish and fulfill your belly.
I don't
You
see
know,
how
that
that's
in a sense is goodness, you know? And the fact that
and that comes from your
goodness
God, and you know that comes from your God, right?
the fact that I will say the fact that goodness exists itself shows
What?
that God is good. The fact that goodness exists itself.
Goodness.
Because goodness doesn't have to exist. It doesn't.
So
we could
when
be
children
living in a form of sheer chaos.
when children
sheer
are being
destruction.
assaulted
But
in
the fact
church,
that goodness exists.
when children are being assaulted in God's church, God's house, where's God's goodness there?
And the fact that we don't have to stay in that place. The fact
That's
that
terrible.
there's a better world becoming.
Does your God
There's a better world getting closer, and the fact is, it's up to me. It's up to you to grow that better world. You know, to take that seed and be the leaves, to be the water.
God,
you know, to be the sunlight. You know, to shine.
Is your God all powerful?
To keep it growing, to take the goodness that we have and grow that
right.
goodness.
I don't see the goodness coming from your God, though. I don't see the goodness coming from your God. That's my issue here as well. I don't see you're mentioning goodness, but I don't see that this is coming from an invisible man that I can't interact with. So how do we know that this goodness is coming from the invisible man that creates evil, sends a bad guy to earth, bloodshed for forgiveness, slaughters children in their sleep to show off his powers? So how do we know that this goodness is coming from that particular being?
Oh, that's beautiful. So when you, yes, sir, I love it, man.
You're
awesome, bro. I love you, man. All right. So when you're thinking about how the goodness or where the goodness stems from, you have to think about creation itself. You know,
cancer,
the act of creation itself. The fact
predators have to tear apart prey to eat it. I don't see the creation being this wonderful, beautiful thing. Yes, there are beautiful things in this world, but there is so much death, torture, and pain. God had to have created those things as well, right?
Oh, 100%. In the Bible, it says he is the bringer of both good times and bad times.
That's not a good thing, Curtis. That's not loving.
And I'll show you how amazing this is, brother. All right. Oof. So it's like this.
Okay, go.
Good times come when God is showing more of himself. Bad times come when God shows less of himself. Why would he show more and less of himself? Because he's a fire, ever growing, ever burning. And you know, just like a fire, it expands, it dims, and it expands again. You know, we have the control to throw things into the fire that make it expand. We have the control to put things over the fire, like dirt on the fire, and make it shrink, you know? So me and you have the choice to help that fire burn even brighter. But back to your question, with creation itself, how do we access this? To think about the creation, you must think about who created the creation. Right. So it's like
his reason why.
If I had no tools in the world, say if I was Adam himself, but forget God's out of the picture. He's not even there anymore. How I would come to an understanding of how I got here would definitely ponder how I got here. Who created me? You get what I'm saying? Who created the soul and the vessel within me?
Who created the creator? Who created that guy? If everything needs a creator and we all have to have creators, why does God not have to have a creator?
and that's what we have to tap into. We have to tap
questions.
into the we have to tap into the spirit of eternity
I don't know what that
instead
means.
of the spirit of temporary time and space and our own logic. You know, we have to tap into eternity. And if
How
I
do you
may,
tap
and if
into
I
the
may-
spirit of eternity? This is I've never heard this in my life. Tapping into
Beautiful.
the spirit of eternity. How does one do
Correct. Eternal life. That's another word for it. Eternal life. That's a better word for it, Buzz. All right, so I'm gonna paint you a picture right here.
that? Paint
The
me a
fact
picture.
that this is how powerful you are without even knowing how powerful you are.
Okay.
The fact that you could think right now, you could think, what is a beach? You know, you could think I'm at the beach.
Uh-huh.
You could think I'm sitting at the beach. You could picture it in your mind.
Okay.
That you could literally picture the beach. You could smell the aromas. You could hear the seagulls.
Mm,
That
maybe if I pretend enough. Yes, I can use my brain to pretend. Yes. Well, that's not really that amazing, but it's cool, but not like I'm not
not even
speaking
that.
things into existence.
Not even that. Just by you being here and thinking about it enough, you can almost be there in that
Almost.
moment.
Yeah, my imagination is pretty fun.
100%. And that kind of beauty, that kind of growth, that kind of choice that you can be in the most negative situation that you can be in. Exactly. You're being murdered right. You're being murdered right now. You're being stabbed. And the fact, I'm being stabbed right now. And the fact that I can take my mind off of that, and I can say I can choose to think of something different. You know, I could choose to think of something lighter in that moment.
But you're still being stabbed. You can't really,
exactly
exit from the situation. So help me understand what's going on here.
But you can mentally exit from the situation.
Why is that so amazing and proving of God?
Because you have that aspect of you choose for the greater good. You choosing greater good. You get what I'm saying? Instead of
I'm very confused.
Instead of being in your negative situation in the darkness, you can choose goodness.
I can change my mind.
You can choose goodness. And that's it. And that's it. Now we have to spread that light.
Okay.
So everyone can choose goodness. So everyone can choose.
What is this light we're spreading, though? I'm confused on that. Is that the Jesus part?
I love that question. I love that question. So
I don't want to spread Jesus.
It's like this. And I'd love to bring it back to this. It's like the world is a dark room, you know?
It's not. The world is a great place. It's a wonderful place.
100%. It's like the world is the darkest room. You're 100% right. It's like the world is the darkest room. And every time we choose love, every time we choose light, a light switch goes on in that room. So until the point to where we all choose light and all the light switches
What is this light, though? Is the light just love? Because if the light is just love, I'm all for it. But if the light is a relationship with an invisible man who needs bloodshed for forgiveness and kills children, that's my problem.
People and that's why it hurts me when churches don't explain the full side of the story, that don't have the full grace trying to explain it, because it's like we're in this dark room and some people are turning on lights, but the light might not be bright enough, but thank God that the light is on, you know? So we have these lights. So we have these lights in the room. They're all turned on. The room is no longer dark. All the darkness is fleed. And at that point where all of us as a humanity has turned on all of our light switches and there's no more darkness in the room, then we are back in the golden age, which we were in. If that helps me
kumbaya.
Say that.
I'm all down for the kumbaya. Yeah, I'm all down for that.
All light. You get what I'm saying? All
right,
light,
but God is not all down for that.
And a lot of people aren't, you know, because they don't know that they're surrounded in darkness. You know, it's just a lack of awareness. And that's kind of what the world suffers from right now.
Awareness in what? The love of the light?
The fullness of it.
So the fullness of it is Jesus. Help me understand here.
God is love.
Well, love God drowns children. That's not love. God needs bloodshed for forgiveness. That's not love. God is going to burn people with the sun at the end of the times. That's not love.
Okay, so it is an ever-growing thing.
Where's the growth? I don't see the growth. I have yet to see the growth. It's still growth.
So you have the Old Testament, the bloodshed of animals, the bloodshed of people, you know, and then you have the build up to the point where you have Christ come.
Right, where there's still more bloodshed.
Christ is the new word, the word of loving thy neighbor as thyself.
So God changed his mind. Don't kill your neighbor. Don't get your slaves from your neighbor. Now God wants you to love your neighbor.
Do you know how hard it is to lead a perfect life? You probably
I don't.
do.
Well, perfect is subjective for sure. But God said it's okay to get your slaves from your neighbors. God says it's okay to kill your neighbors if they take you away from God. But now God says later on, he changed his mind and now he wants you to love his neighbor. Is that where we're at?
I feel like he doesn't necessarily change his mind.
So he still wants you to get your slaves from your neighbors.
Higher ways get access through us putting things in that fire to make it shine even brighter. And
so he still wants you to shine bright by getting slaves from your neighbors.
Yes, sir. I'm going to give you a biblical example of that.
Why would you worship this guy?
You brought up Moses. I
brought up slaves from your neighbors. Do you still think that God wants us to get our slaves from our neighbors?
That's going back into the grace of Christ. And I'm trying to take you a little bit further.
Well, I want to focus on that a little bit here because at some point, God thought that this was a good idea. He thought it was such a good idea, he put it down in his book several times. So do you think it's a good idea to get your slaves from your neighbors?
Like I said, it was more so our actions making
God's
that
words.
occur.
Exodus 21. It's okay to beat your slave as long as they don't die 3 days later.
That's because of our action. It's like we had to have slaves. It's like this. This is how good God. This is why I serve the God I serve. If since you asked the question, I would love to answer it. This is why I serve the God I serve. It's like this. God gives you a brand new toy. Beautiful toy, amazing toy.
He hasn't given me any toys.
Then we break the toy. Then he's like, okay, I'll give you a new toy that works better. And it's going to be better this time. And he gives you that toy. And then we break that toy. What? And then he gives us a new, and it's a constant cycle of him giving us new things.
God hasn't given me any toys, Curtis. Help me understand that part.
Pardon?
God hasn't given me any toys. I don't have any toys from God. What are you talking about?
Life. You have life, and you have free will. You have free will to choose how you want to live that life. Are you going to break? Are you going to break that toy? Are you going to break that toy? Or are you going to appreciate and nurture that toy and grow that toy into greater heights than you can imagine?
So slaves, we should get our slaves from our neighbors because of new toys. God wants you to have new toys. And these are your new toys. Don't break them. So people are toys to God. I mean, Daniel 4:35, the people of the earth are regarded as nothing. He does as he pleases with the powers of heaven and the peoples of the earth. So yes, people are toys to God.
The word is the toy.
The word is the toy. So we can play around with this toy. Leviticus 25, 44 through 46.
New word. He gives you
your
new
male
word.
And female slaves are to come from the nations around you. This is the toys God has given us. These are the words and the rules God has put down. I think they're horrible. I think they're disgusting, and they should not be in a book that is called a good book. I think we should. Well, that's a whole other thing. But I don't see this as a good thing. I don't see this as a good toy, a new toy. I think it's a bad toy. Slaves, obey your masters. 1 Peter, it says, submit to harsh masters. That's in the New Testament. So we're going to love our neighbors, but slaves, submit yourselves to your masters with all respects. Not only the good ones are you to be good.
So you would say being humble is a bad
How the hell did you get from that to that?
Well, slaves obey your masters. That's a step into being humble.
That's a step into being slaves.
Which is forecoming.
No, that's submission and slavery, and I'm not all about
that.
Some people like
submission, turning the other cheek. In another word,
no. Oh, I love that. Thank you for bringing that up. That's awesome. 100%. So Jesus wants you to turn the other cheek, but God says to do what? Show no mercy. God says, show no mercy. He says to kill all kinds of people. All kinds of people.
Are you separating Old Testament? Because I see that a lot is like the jump back and looking at Old Testament and New Testament kind of as one in the same. And I kind of want to see where do you think Like, what do you think the divide, if I may ask, what do
Yeah.
you think the difference is between Old Testament and
Authors.
New Testament?
Authors and places. So my thing though is it's all fake and it's
What
all been
about
written
the
by man.
what about
So
the overcoming of flesh?
I don't know what that means. So when God says something in the Old Testament and he means it, and he says this is the way things should be, and my laws are holy, righteous, perfect, and good, why wouldn't you take him at his word?
That you're forgetting the aspect of grace.
No, I'm not forgetting the aspect of grace. You're forgetting the aspect of God says all of these rules are perfect, holy, righteous, and good. So therefore, God thinks all of these rules are perfect, holy, righteous, and good. But then he says in 1 Corinthians 14:33 that he's not the author of confusion. And I am quite confused, Curtis, because these
Beautiful.
aren't good laws.
So if you could name me one person that followed every single rule, and
I don't care. That doesn't matter.
Yes, it does. Because
No,
we keep
no,
breaking
that's
the
not my
toy.
point.
We keep
That's not my
breaking
point, though,
the toy.
Curtis. My
We
point
keep
is
breaking the-
God set these rules into motion. That's my point. God thinks that these are good ideas. That is my exact
and that's
point.
that's why Christ had to come, so someone here can follow the rules. So someone could actually
Well,
follow the rules, you know.
So wait,
and,
what?
And guess what that person did that followed the rules? He
So you're telling me
saved
that the laws
world.
are hard to follow?
They must be, because so many people do not follow them to a T. That's what you see riddled in the Bible. God gives us the rules, and we never follow them. And the
1
ones
John
that do
5:3.
become prophets.
1 John.
And the ones
New
that do
Testament.
become prophets that fear nothing.
For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments.
Yes, sir.
And his commandments are not burdensome. So that tells me it's not hard to follow these commandments. Deuteronomy 30:11, for this commandment that I command you today is not too hard for you. So
And we
these
still don't
commandments,
follow
God says, aren't very difficult to follow.
And we still don't follow them.
Right. Why aren't you stoning disobedient children?
Right now?
Yeah, God says it's holy, righteous, perfect, and good. The law is not hard to follow.
Because now I have grace.
No, you may have grace, but this child who's disobedient needs to be stoned to death.
Just like the guys in the Old Testament that actually followed all of the laws, like I'll bring up Iraq, Meshach, and Abednego.
Oh, I love that story. Go ahead.
They followed all of the laws, and what happened? They tried to burn them.
They followed all the laws? How do you know that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego followed all the laws? Did they stone disobedient children?
Because the Spirit of God dwelled within them. Because the Spirit of God chose to dwell within them.
Interesting how that worked. I love
God
this
creates you of Him.
I'm gonna throw a wrench in all of this. I'm sorry, and it's gonna be terrible and disgusting. But the Jews in the gas chambers, God did not protect them. Why? Why Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who didn't believe in Jesus, God protected them because they believed in God. All of these people during the Nazi camps believed in God, but God didn't save them. Why?
So why doesn't God save the child on the street that's in my neighborhood that got shot?
Why doesn't God save the kid in his church being molested? Why doesn't God step in and go, hey, this is a bad thing to happen in my house. I shouldn't let this happen.
Because he gave us the toy of free will.
No, he didn't give us the toy of free will. You keep saying that. Where do you get this idea from? Where's this idea of free will coming from?
It's in the Word.
Where in the Bible does it say we all get free will?
Give me 1 second.
You know, we got a long time to wait because it doesn't say it in there. I'm gonna let you know right now. It doesn't say it in there. There's not one place in there that says we all get free will. It doesn't exist. God steps in, he manipulates, his will be done. You already said it. His will is going to be done, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So that's not free will. If his will is going to be done, that's not my will. That's his will. That's not free will.
It's your action to choose. And it's Matthew 23:37.
Okay, what's it say?
We're getting into it. Yes, sir.
I love it. Yeah, no. God determines your steps. Proverbs 16:9. I know the plans for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper and not to harm.
Right.
I will open
submit to them.
People are regarded as nothing. What is free will to you? That's good. That's a good. Let's start with that. What is free will to you? Definition. I can read it from the dictionary. The freedom of humans to make choices that are not determined or prior causes or by divine intervention. So no divine intervention means we actually have free will. But the problem is God can't stay out of the mix, man. He's got to put his hands in everything because his will be done. right off the bat, he sends the bad guy to Earth. That's not free will for us. Why would he send them to us? He knows exactly what's going to happen when he comes down to Earth. I'm not free from the temptation of God either. God comes out and tests people, does he not?
But you can choose, and that's what Matthew 23:37.
Can I choose not to go to hell if I don't love God?
It's that we chose to stone our prophets.
Can I choose not to go to hell if I don't love God?
How do we choose not to go to hell?
If I don't love your God, can I choose not to go to hell?
You're not following the law of existence. That's
not free will.
That's like how can I choose to fly? You know, it's like,
yes, because you can buy a plane ticket and go and fly. But you can also get those little things you jump out of the airplanes.
What about before planes? Can I choose to levitate?
I don't know. Can you? David Blaine can. Anyways, so can I choose to not go to hell?
You could choose that, but it's kind of like,
but God's going to step in and interfere.
It's kind of like laws, you know, and that's why I'm breaking it down in that sense. If I chose to levitate right now, I chose to levitate, I probably I could, but I couldn't, you know, because of the law of gravity.
Every knee shall bow. Is that free will? Do I have free will if every knee shall bow to God? Is that free will?
That's how glorious he is. See, when he comes in his full glory, you will not be able to stand. That's kind of where that comes from.
Since they have rejected Jeremiah 8:9-10, since they have rejected the word of the Lord, what kind of wisdom do they have? That is why I, God, will give their wives to other men and their fields to other owners. So God is going to give women to other because they rejected him. Is that free will? Or is God interfering again?
No, that's the act of the man's will that we need to break out of.
That is the man having his own opinion, and God
need to be out of into a will of spirit. And the new toy right now, the toy that we need to be following right now, is loving everyone with all that we have. And if we can't do that, then we're breaking the next toy. You get what I'm saying? And then guess what happens after that? Revelations. So
yeah, no, I don't see it. I don't understand how we get free will when obviously God is interfering with lives here. Is the interference of lives free will to you?
We have we 100% choose our decisions.
No, is the interference in your life by another person still free will to you?
Yes. Just like I have the free will.
I need to know your definition of free will.
Just like I have the will to do something, so do you.
You're just making things up at this point, because that's not the definition of free will.
How?
Because that's not the definition of free will. You have to be free from an outside influence. So when something starts to influence you, that's not free will. When something steps in and interacts in your free will, that ceases to be free will. So when God comes in and interacts and changes things, moves path, kills people, drowns people, this is not free will. When he takes women away from their husbands and gives them to somebody else, that's not free will. When he hardens the heart of the Pharaoh to kill his kid, that's not free will.
And you want me to tell you how it's free will?
Oh my God. Go. What you got?
Yes, sir.
Got,
okay,
Curtis.
so
how is that? How is hardening the heart of Pharaoh free will? Go.
Let me let you know.
Let me
and since we are one with God, that means we have no will. All of our will is God's will.
So I don't have free will.
God can do whatever he wants.
So I don't have free
technically, technically, we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. Technically, we have free will.
Unbelievable. That's weird. That is so weird.
Because when you fully submit and you fully follow the law, you become one with God. And your heart's desires are his heart's desires, because his heart's desires are your heart's desires.
My heart's desires will never be his. He desires bloodshed for forgiveness and worship and praise 24/7. I do not desire those things. My heart will never desire the heart or be the same as your God's heart. There's not a chance, man. I think it's disgusting.
I feel like it's only that way because of a lack of awareness.
What awareness am I missing here? Because he's a documented child killer that needs bloodshed for forgiveness, and he wants to burn people with the sun at the end of the world. Help me understand what I'm missing here.
All of your desires of your heart, specifically your heart, he wants to fulfill. That's what we're kind of missing in the world.
Why does he need you to tell me?
You don't even have to be upset. You don't have to go through any type of darkness itself. You don't have to go through anything that will make you mad, frustrated, that will make you hurt, that will make you feel pain. You have to go.
God needs you to go through trials. It says so in the Bible.
You would have to go through none of it.
Yeah.
If you had the awareness that you seek, you would have to go through none of that, because every single hiccup, every single bad thing that you may be going through is because you no longer are. You're not fully there. You're not fully one yet. Yeah, you know?
I don't want to be one with a documented child killer. So why can't he tell me these things? Why do you need to tell me?
With you being one, you would reach all of your heart's desires. That's the thing.
You
wouldn't have to go through any of that. And if we were all to be one, and if we were all to turn on our lights, we wouldn't have to go through any of these problems.
And I have a problem with the light that your God shines over.
All of our heart's desires to not see people killed, to not see people hurt, all of our heart's desires will be answered if we turn on all of the lights. If we turn on all of the lights, we don't break any more toys.
Do you believe in the Revelation thing, the end times, and God's coming back to burn the earth and all that shenanigans?
That's a matter of will.
No, it's a matter of opinion. So do you, is that your opinion that yes, that's going to happen?
I believe God can do anything that he seeks to do.
Okay, believe that you believe that. So is the end times, as described in the Bible, going to happen?
If God were to come down right here and says that is no longer going to happen, then he would come down here and say that is no longer going to happen. Like I said, it's a matter of
God is going to
God's
kill
will.
a bunch of people at the end of the world.
It's a matter of God's will, because God's will is the highest will.
But you said God's will is not to have people die. But then at the end of the world, he's going to kill a bunch of people and fish.
I don't think if everything continues the way it is, yes.
So God does want people to die.
If we turn on all of the lights around the world and we no longer have this darkness that's looming, I think we can achieve our heart's desires. That's what I believe.
Right. But what I'm asking you is, does God want people to die? You said he didn't want people to die, but then we just established that at the end of the world, he's going to kill a crap load of people. So does God want people to die, or does God not want people to die? We can't have it both ways there.
God wants the best for you. That's what he wants.
Burning me with the sun is not the best for me. Do you think it was the best for the children in that time to be drowned?
I understand that, but
was that what was best for the children to be drowned?
You're neglecting our part to play in all of this. You know,
my part is to be an atheist and die and go to hell.
We have a conscious decision that we need to make.
Right. So was it best for the kids to be drowned in the vengeful rainwater during the flood? Was that best for them?
At that time, it was either be consumed with darkness, which is a worser fate.
Terrible. That's absolutely horrible. Your God can't come up with a better plan than drowning children. Curtis, this is your God. This is the best he can do.
Out of free will, because he chose to give you free will?
That's not free will. No, that's not free will. Your God stepped in and drowned kids.
It's our decision.
That's not free will. So do these children who were nursing...
It's us choosing to make these things happen.
Curtis,
instead of choosing...
Curtis, did nursing children have a choice? Did the nursing children that your God drowned during the flood have a choice?
Their parents did.
Did the children have a choice?
There is a grace for children.
This is the silliest thing.
Did
the children have a choice? God didn't give them a choice. God didn't come down and go, hey, kids, follow Jesus, follow me, do all this fun stuff. No, God didn't do crap. He sent a drunk guy who built an ark and supposedly warned the whole earth. I'm not sure how that happened without the internet. And he's building a boat. So again, these kids did not have a choice. They were going to be drowned with their parents because God didn't like the things that their parents were going to do. Hosea 9:16, I will slaughter your cherished offspring. Why? Because their parents sacrificed a couple of kids to a different God. So God comes in and goes, I'm going to kill all your kids. And I'm a loving, compassionate, just God. That's disgusting, Curtis. That's terrible. That's not love. That's not light. That's darkness and destruction.
It's our choices that's dimming that fire.
His choice to do that. It was his choice to drown babies. Is that true or not?
No, it's our will. That's
No.
that's
Damn it.
100%.
Oh my
that's 100%.
God, Curtis.
That is not true. That's all on us, bud.
Who
That's
chose
all
to
on
drown the
us.
children?
That's all on us.
Curtis, who chose to drown the kids?
We did.
Curtis, who chose to drown the children?
We did.
This is the most maddening thing. I love this. It's insanity. It's insanity. It's so simple. Who sent the rainwater to drown the kids?
Like I told you, we did.
So you're telling me that children opened up the gates of heavens to let the magic space water in to drown themselves? Is that what you're telling me, Curtis?
We chose to develop ourselves in sin and then have children. We chose
You realize
that.
how insane that sounds?
We chose that.
Listen to the words that are coming out of your mouth,
We
man.
have to take responsibility for our actions and not blame
I didn't do
God.
shit, Curtis. I wasn't there.
Hey, but you're
Hey,
here now, and you can
I'm
choose.
here now.
You can choose, brother. You can choose.
Yeah,
to
I
turn
can
on
choose
those
to
light
worship a
switches with me.
documented child killer.
You can turn on those light switches
Or
with me,
not.
brother.
That's darkness. Killing children is darkness, Curtis.
And we
Slaughtering
chose that.
children out of pointless jealousy is darkness, children. Curtis, your God is a jealous God who punishes children. He says it several times in the Bible. Is a jealous God that punishes children a good light being?
We chose the word jealous.
You're not listening.
God is a spirit, you know?
Does God get upset when we worship other gods?
When we deceive ourselves, yes,
Is
he
God
does.
get jealous or upset? Sorry, does God get upset when we worship other gods? The answer is yes. Come on, Curtis. It's very obvious. Your God gets jealous. He says it throughout the
No,
Bible.
but it's us deceiving ourselves, you know?
That's not deceiving me. That you're being deceived right now. You're
How?
deceiving yourself.
How so?
You're telling me this God is loving and that all of these actions are good for some reason, that he is still light. You are deceiving yourself, Curtis. Break free from the bondage of faith. You can do it, man. You're almost there. Just turn those gears.
No, it's a. I feel like it's 100% our decisions that led us to the point we're in now.
That's tough.
I feel
don't
like
know how to-
I'm going to
I don't
take
know.
responsibility. I'm going to take responsibility. And that's
That's so
my
sad.
job. And Catholic Church, you know what they say? I understand about the Catholic faith. Before you even get started, Mr. Michael, I understand about the Catholic faith. But one thing they say that I really enjoy is they say, my fault, my fault, my fault. You get what I'm saying?
Victim blaming. We're victim blaming.
They make that an affirmation that it's my fault, my fault, my fault. My
You're
will of
blaming
my
the
flesh.
victims of
My will of my
an
flesh.
atrocious thing. That is terrible. So
We
if
don't have to
my
choose
kids
that.
disobeyed me and I decided to throw them in a pit of fire, is that their fault or my fault?
We don't have to choose that.
If my kids disobey me and I throw them into a pit of fire, whose fault is that?
Did you give their life? Did you give your life so that that doesn't have to happen?
Oh, that is the most ridiculous thing. Okay, so we're going to try and focus one more time on it. One more time. Whose fault is it if I throw my kids into a pit of fire for not listening to me? Whose fault is it? You got this. It's there. Come on, Curtis. Whose fault is it that my kids have been thrown into a pit of fire? I created the pit of fire. I dug it up, set it on fire, got it all ready, and then my kids disobeyed me, and I'm like, oh, there you go. Whee! Bye.
Yeah.
Whose fault is that?
The only reason why the pit of fire is
Not
even
listening.
created because it's the absence of you.
Okay,
So
again,
if
whose fault is it?
Let me break it down. Let me break it down. It's the absence of you. So if your children choose not you, the only place they can go is into the fire.
Right. So I created a fire pit that if nobody wants to be with me, they're going to have to go here. I created this fire pit for everybody who doesn't want to be around me to go into. Again, whose fault is it that people are being thrown into this pit? If I'm the one that created the scenario, if I'm the one that makes the rules, whose fault is it?
Who are you going to blame for existence itself?
I'm not talking about existence. I'm talking about a fiery pit for eternity. Try to stay focused here. So whose fault is it that people are getting thrown in there?
That's That's just God existing, and you choose to not live without God. You're choosing to be thrown in that fire pit because
That's
you
my
chose
problem
to
is
live,
the options.
you chose
Curtis.
to live without God.
Curtis, does God throw me into hell?
You throw yourself into hell.
I love that answer. Curtis, I'm going to look at you right in the eye. I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to throw myself into a fiery pit. Somebody has to push me, Curtis. Somebody has to push me. So who's pushing me into this fiery furnace?
Do you not have action on your own accord?
I do, and I'm going to not jump into a fiery pit, Curtis. That's what I just said. Those actions on my own accord, I'm going to choose not to jump into a fiery pit.
Okay.
So what's going to happen now?
Now do what needs to be done, not to be thrown.
I'm not going to worship your
jumped into that
documented
pit.
child killer, Curtis. I'm refusing to worship your documented child killer. I'm refusing. So now, who's going to push me into fire because I don't want to worship your God?
Your choice. You just said your choice.
Again, who's going to push me into the fire, Curtis? Who's going to push me? Who's going to throw me? Who's going to toss me? How am I going to get there? Because I'm not jumping in. Follow
like
this.
I said, it's your choice.
Damn it. Oh my God. It's maddening. There's this wall I can't get through, man.
Bro. Yes, sir.
I love it.
Yes,
All right.
sir.
All right, Curtis.
All
Well, this
right,
has
bro.
been fun, man. This has been a blast. I appreciate
awesome,
your
bro.
time.
Mad respect, bro. Mad
You're welcome
respect.
back anytime, man. Go ahead. Closing words, and where can we find you at?
Oh man, man, for any of you guys that feel hopeless, lost, depressed, like things aren't working out, guys, you could always reach for the light. You could always choose to do good. We are Roundtable Rejects. You can find us at Roundtable Rejects 111 on Instagram. We just came out with a website. We're going to be selling merch and stuff, guys. Thank you guys for listening and tuning in to me. I wish you guys nothing but blessings and light. But you can find the music and everything off of the Instagram. Roundtable Rejects on all platforms, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Stay safe out there, and we'll keep in touch.
All right, brother.
That's all the show there is for you today. Thanks for listening. As always, you can find all things BSW related on the show's website at thebiblesayswhat.com. If you like what you heard and want to help keep the recording light on, simply go to thebiblesayswhat.com and sign up to be a supporter of the show. Your episodic tithes of $1 or more will get you early access to each new episode on Wednesdays instead of Sundays. And no matter which platform you use to listen to your podcasts, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss out on the next episode. Until then, would you kindly share and review the show?